Welcome to Ask Gwen One. Today with me I have Stephanie Fuccio. Stephanie Fuccio is living in Albania. She's an expat from the US to Albania, and I've been following her for years now. And she is a fabulous podcaster. So, Stephanie, take it away.
Thank you so much, Win. I'm really excited to talk to you. We have been in touch for a few years. And yeah, it's been fun to watch your podcast grow as well as, everything else. And so my name is Stephanie Fuccio, and I am the proud and sort of maddening owner of the Geopets podcast network. We have about 7 different podcasts with their interview podcasts that cover different parts of culture, all the way from brainy language conversations in Geopats language to podcasters around the world in Geopats podcasting, and even a coffee podcast called Geopats Coffee. So I try to talk to people around the world about their different experiences in these or with these topics.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
Now, you said to me earlier, and when you people are listening to this, earlier was only a couple minutes ago because technology problems got
Ugh.
to us. You said to me earlier you moved to outside the United States
Mhm.
just out of curiosity, and I think that's amazing. I think that's
Thank you.
absolutely amazing that you did that. And so, do you ever have the fascination to come back in to the US or absolutely not?
Of course, I always think about it, and I have certain memories or certain cravings for things, and sometimes when I meet Americans, there's a certain click that I have that I don't have with other people. So there's always a part of me that's in the US, and I also came back for graduate school twice. So yeah, there's a part of me that's there, but the thing is I like to be everywhere. So it's hard because I've been outside the US for the majority of the past 16 years, but not in one place. So I spent a lot of time in Asia in different countries, and about this time last year I moved over to Germany, and now I'm in Albania. And so there's little bits of me all over the place, and I can't commit to one location because I'm so curious.
Well, good. Curiosity kills the cat. We need more people like you to be curious and stay out of the US because the US is a little bit rough politically. My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay, what are we doing next? But I hate to get political on this podcast, but ay, 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 ay.
I second that. Yeah.
It's interesting. So, Stephanie,
Yes.
what was your biggest lesson you learned in 2020 with the craziness of 2020 going
Oh,
on, which I'm
right.
sure affected you?
Oh, of course it did. Oh, it massively did. I don't know if there's anybody that went unscathed last year and still continuing on this year, right? My biggest lesson, honestly, Win, was flexibility and letting go of thinking about the future. I started to use the word future stress because I started to listen to and read things too much about what people thought might happen with COVID. But, and it created all the stress that didn't need to be there. And so for me, it really was a time to stop, slow down, unplug, not just technically, but just mentally, just unplug and stop thinking about the future so much because it just it was impossible to be in a future mindset last year because everything was just like quicksand.
And what was the best thing you did slash learned in 2020?
The best thing I did was I finally started doing yoga every day. And I hate yoga. I still hate yoga, but it feels good finally. But I needed a stress reliever that wasn't that wasn't outside dependent for obvious reasons. So
Yeah.
I finally made peace with yoga for what it is.
Made peace with the yoga. I like it. I like it because you couldn't go out, you couldn't go walk down the street, so you needed to make peace with your arch nemesis of yoga. And so, what are you excited to get back to after the pandemic is over?
Oh, people. I've heard you talk on your podcast too, how you're a social butterfly and you miss being around people. I
Oh,
miss
yes,
being
yes,
around
yes,
people.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 yes. And I actually have a huge announcement, which is coming later on. It's coming later on. Uh, we that involves people,
Mhm.
and you may have heard number one announcement, which I
Mhm.
was getting all lined up. Well, there's a plot twist to number one announcement, and I am moving, but now there's a major, major plot twist,
Wow.
and I am so excited to be moving to a state that in I'll explain, you guys. I'll explain because I am moving. I just the universe decided to send me in a completely different direction than I had planned on,
Mhm.
but it did it in a way that is better for me and better for people involved, and so I'm like, I'll take it. But it does involve seeing people. It does
Oh.
involve people. So seeing
Mhm.
people, and it does involve seeing people and getting back to life again. So I'm super excited to mention this little interesting plot twist that came last week as I was sitting in a hotel room. You
Mhm.
guys know the hotel room story why. And um as I was sitting in the hotel room, I got presented with an interesting opportunity. And so when my people and myself looked into it, they're like, yes, yes, and yes. And so I got presented with an interesting opportunity in the US, which I'm super excited about. And I have
Yay.
scratched all the original plans. And so, Stephanie, you and I are people. And that's what we miss about this
Yeah.
pandemic thing is
Yeah.
not seeing people.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else I can deal with, even, having to cook for myself instead of going to restaurants, I don't
Yeah,
care. I'm fine. I'm fine. I
we're
learned how to
fine.
adapt to all
We're
that.
fine
But
about that.
but
We're
not being
fi-
around people is so
We'll
frustrating,
find
especially.
about we'll find about not we'll find about not going out to eat, not going to the grocery store. I'm fine about not going to the grocery store personally, but
Exactly.
not being around people is
Yeah.
so, so frustrating. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding.
It is. It is. Even like when I first moved to Germany last year, when I first started to meet people, like after COVID happened and I was still meeting people online. And then we were like, okay, let's meet in the park. And we had to sit really far apart from each other. And I couldn't hug them. Like we had had conversations online and we realized we were kindred souls. But when we met in person, I would normally hug them. And I was just like, I can't hug you. I can't even give you a pat in the back. I feel like everybody was infectious and I felt it was just so isolating. Like they were sitting in front of me, but I couldn't really be the human being that I am because of whatever could happen. It was
No,
just so
no,
frustrating.
and it's so frustrating,
Yeah.
so frustrating when you are a hugger.
Yeah.
And yes, I got a hug last
Yeah.
night. Yes, I did, from a
Oh,
person that didn't have COVID.
yeah.
No, she's a family member of mine.
Yeah.
She knows she's been, she's she came around at Christmas and did the exact same thing. and we had people standing around us, and she goes, I know we're not supposed to do this, but here. And I'm like, hug? Hug? What's that
Oh,
concept?
oh,
And I'm
so nice.
like, yeah, you're giving me a hug. And it's like, hello, back to reality here.
Oh,
Back to reality here.
yeah.
And so it's like being a social butterfly
Mhm.
is you're either ingrained to be an extrovert or introvert. And it's so hard for the social
So hard.
butterflies not to give hugs.
I agree. I agree. And I know, like, I've been really quiet about the hug thing for a while, but because I know so many people have had really tragic loss throughout all of this, and I've been really lucky, but it's there, you know, we are social creatures and we do need touch. Now I am married and my husband has been we've been in the same place the whole time, but it's more than just one person, you know? It's communities and it's new people and it's regular people. It's just it's different. It's very, very different. So it's a privileged complaint, but I miss being around
Yeah.
people.
And so if you had to um if you had to talk to one person dead or alive, who would that be?
Oh gosh, this is going to be a really weird answer probably. Edgar Allan Poe, the writer.
Why would that be weird? Oh,
Because he's warped. His stories were so disturbing, but I feel like there was something oh gosh, I feel like there was something really deep and personal and grounded about how he wrote about those warped moments that I feel like I want to know more and I want to ask him questions.
Edgar Allan Poe. How cool
Edgar.
is that? And so if you had to walk in a person's shoes, who would they be?
Oh, wow. Um, if I could work at any like what for how long? That's an important bit of
Just
information.
just walk in a person's shoes generally for a day. Let's say a day, or let's even extend it for 2 weeks.
I w- I wouldn't pick one person, but I would pick a woman from 100 years ago. Any country, I don't care. I want I there are some moments where I feel like we haven't made any progress with women being valued as much as men, and I feel like if I went back 100 years and did even a day in another woman's shoes, I feel like I would realize that we have. I hope I would realize that we have. So I would like to do that, and not somebody very privileged or rich, just like
Yes.
an every woman, so to speak.
I I agree. I definitely agree, and that I hope we make some sort of progress
Mhm.
with in the next couple of years, because I even even without the COVID vaccine, even though I've signed myself up for one, I ha- I know that I know that it's coming, but I hope that we've made enough progress so that it's going to happen soon. But
Mhm.
women need to stand up for their rights.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And we need to help each other too. Too often we can criticize each other in a way that's not productive and unnecessary, and we just need to stop doing that because that's not helpful. We need to help each other.
No, that's not helpful at all.
Mm-mm.
And so, um, as we wrap this interview up, do you have any questions for me?
I do. I'm obsessed with getting into people's podcasting brain, so I have a couple of questions about
Yeah,
podcasting.
I know you do.
So, what's the one thing that you've learned about yourself through making this podcast?
What's the one thing that I've learned, that I'm adaptable? Geez,
Mhm.
peace. I could, I, my earliest wake-up call is a 4:30, and I can still be
Whoa.
functioning by the end of the day. 6 a.m. is not that bad, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm adaptable. I think podcasting, like you, is fascinating. It's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating what you can learn about different cultures, what you can learn about um, different subject matters. In fact, I'm
Mm-hmm.
interviewing a person coming up that will be speaking about intuition. And I didn't realize this person does intuition stuff for full-time job. So
Oh,
that should be interesting.
very,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I have learned so much from my podcast guest.
It's true. It's true. It's true. You are adaptable. And it's funny, but because there's like when you're doing interviews, there's something I always like to say it's me, the guest, and the connection is like the third person. There's something that happens that you can't do by yourself, that doesn't exist by yourself. It truly is a little bit of magic sprinkled into the experience.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So having said that, I'm going to have a Debbie Downer moment here. And if you couldn't podcast anymore, if for some reason you couldn't podcast anymore, there were no more podcasts, the internet went down, who knows why, how else would you get your message out? Because when I know you wouldn't stop, whether it be books or podcasts, you'd still want to say what you need to say. How else would you do it?
I would and I would try and bang the drum through some sort of media, and some sort of media would be, well, it would be online too, but it would also be in a physical format. And this is the first time a person has asked me this, but they they know that once I get my journalism degree,
Mm,
I want every story under the sun, and um, not just the ones having to deal with disabilities,
mm,
but every story under the sun. And I think if I couldn't podcast anymore, um, which, by the way, guys, because I am in the midst of a move, I just handed off last night my gorgeous, gorgeous podcasting mic to someone that deserves it. Thank you very much. She asked me, she keeps eyeing my podcast mic, and I said, fine. I'm in the midst of a move. You can, but now I need a new one. Now I need a new one. But
uh,
once I get to the place where I'm going, trust me, this place has Best Buy, and this place has um, all the good luxuries of a podcaster. So
mhm.
I think I'm gonna be pretty much set unless you guys want to help me out here and send me your pick of podcast bikes. But I think it would be through a newspaper. Um, Stuff that I
Mhm.
wouldn't do it. I think it would be through a guest column because what I'm learning is new, even though they say newspapers are dying, newspapers are turning digitally. No, it's like newspapers will be newspapers will be newspapers.
Mhm. Yeah. And there's an appeal of a newspaper that I still have. Like one of the things I miss from the US is grabbing a thick Sunday paper and just sitting down and leafing through it. There's something beautiful about newspapers.
Yeah, there,
Mm-hmm.
there is
Yeah.
something beautiful about newspapers. So yes, I would do it through newspapers, and I
Mm-hmm.
would try and figure it out through newspapers.
That'd be so cool. I think you should do that in addition to podcasting.
Ah,
Don't wait for it
Well,
to stop. Do it in addition
I
to.
if I can get it together, I
Mhm.
would be happy and honored to do it.
Awesome. That's so cool.
And so, Steph, where can people find you if
Oh,
they
yep.
choose
Yep.
to do so?
All of the podcasts and everything else, including, if I may say, PodRev Day, Podcast Review Day, which I know the listeners will get this later, but it's the 8th of every month over on Twitter. All of that stuff is at stephfuccio.com. I have to spell it because most people don't know how to spell my name. So it's STEPHFUCCIO.com. Everything I do is on there.
Yep. And go stalk Stephanie nicely. Nicely, I said. Nicely, people. Nicely. And Stephanie, it's been a true honor interviewing you. I'm so sorry that we had technical difficulties, but we got it done. We
We
got
got
it
it
done.
done. We did it.
And
I knew we
so,
would. We're two determined people win. And I thank you for
yeah,
the invitation. It's been so much fun chatting
it's
with you.
it has. And I will catch you guys later. And as I said, there is a plot twist to be moving, but it's a good plot twist. It's not a bad plot twist in the least, but there's a plot twist to be moving. And you guys, once you find out about this plot twist, you people in the podcasting land have got to help me out here because I, as I said, I gave up my podcasting mic, and so you people have got to help me out here because this is a totally new environment for me, and you guys have got to lead me in the right podcasting direction when I tell you this plot twist, you guys, those of you who do podcasts, or those of you who are in this state in general, and no, it's not the state I originally announced. Those of you who are in this state in general, help me because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. You transplant a mountain goal to a city and cities I like, but cities are strange places. And so you guys need to help me out. But I'll leave it at that. And so the plot twist is coming. But all in all, I enjoyed our time together. And I hope to catch you guys next week. Bye, you guys.
Bye.